Do you still choose low-fat options? Are you afraid that eating fat is going to make you fat? I decided to make this video to clarify some outdated information, myths, or misconceptions about low-fat foods, as well as what oils to use for cooking, because I think there's still a lot of confusion around this. My name is Luz Chacon. I'm a wellness coach and EFT or tapping practitioner. And I help women who struggle with cravings for sweets and carbs to look and feel their best by eating clean, stressing less, and prioritizing their self-care. So let's get into today's topic because there's so much confusion around this. In fact, I've coached a couple of people in the last couple of weeks who still had these misconceptions about fat. So let's start with the fact that when you're trying to lose weight or improve your health, it's important to include healthy fats in your diet. And if you're either reducing calories or reducing sugar or carbs or processed foods, you're going to need to eat other foods to help you feel satisfied and satiated, and fat does the trick. Of course, there are unhealthy fats and healthy fats. Protein and fiber, increasing those is also good if you're trying to manage your weight, but healthy fat is also an important part of that and not something that should be avoided. So let's talk about several different types of healthy fats that are a good idea to include in your diet, both for weight management as well as prevention of chronic diseases and for metabolic health. One of my favorites is avocados. Avocados are a super healthy food. Not only are they rich in healthy fats, but they're also rich in fiber, and they have lots of magnesium, potassium, and folate. Another important food to include is fatty fish. And salmon is a great option. It can be pricey, especially when you're buying it wild, which is what I recommend to avoid the chemical toxins in farmed salmon. So what I often buy is canned wild salmon because then it's more affordable and you can make lots of different dishes with it. Salmon patties. I like to make salmon tostadas, like a salmon salad, and put it on tostadas. Another thing that I often eat is chia seeds because they're a source of healthy fats. They're also rich in protein and fiber, so all three of the nutrients that help with weight management. And I usually like to add them to my whole milk yogurt. And this is where there's a lot of confusion. In fact, one of the people that I was coaching was eating low-fat flavored yogurt. When it's flavored, it's full of sugar. And when you're buying the low-fat or reduced fat versions, you're missing out on the most important nutrients because the majority of nutrition in any form of dairy is actually in the fat, and that's what's going to be more satiating and help you feel not just full but also satisfied. So I definitely recommend full-fat dairy, especially when it comes to yogurt. And for flavor, because this is of course plain, you can not just add the chia seeds, but you can add some fruit and then drizzle it with honey. And that's going to be much healthier and less sugar than buying flavored yogurt. Another thing is butter. One of the other people that I coached that had these misconceptions was eating margarine, because that was what was told to us for so many years, to eat margarine instead of butter. Butter got a bad rap, but butter is a much healthier option. Whenever you have fats that are stable at room temperature, they're going to be a healthier option. Not to mention that margarine usually has trans fats in the form of hydrogenated oils or partially hydrogenated oils, and those are the worst type of fats you can eat. They're very risky in terms of heart disease. And I like to recommend grass-fed butter because it's a healthier option, and Kerrygold is what you often find in the grocery store. So those are just a few examples of healthy fats that you can and should include in your diet, particularly if you're trying to manage weight or if you're concerned about heart disease, high cholesterol, diabetes. I know that sounds contrary to what we heard for many years because we were told to avoid cholesterol. Butter, full-fat dairy has that, but the cholesterol in foods for most people don't affect the cholesterol in their blood, and you need good cholesterol and all of the fats I just talked about increase rather the HDL or the good cholesterol, which is important because that helps get rid of the bad cholesterol. Now let's talk about cooking oils, because lots of people are not aware of which oils are healthy to use or safe to use for cooking. What I recommend most, particularly for high heat cooking, is avocado oil. And this has a high smoke point, so it's safe when you're cooking at high heat. The other really healthy oil that I recommend is olive oil, but not for high heat cooking. It's okay if you're kind of sauteing something or you're cooking at low heat, and it's great for making salad dressings, for putting on vegetables to roast them, for different things like that, but not for high heat cooking because it does not have a high smoke point. So when it gets hot, it tends to oxidize, and that causes inflammation, which brings me to the other types of oils that you want to actually avoid cooking with completely, not just at high heat. And those are the vegetable and seed oils like corn oil, safflower oil, grapeseed oil, canola oil, sunflower oil. All of those you want to avoid, and you'll probably notice that those are going to be the oils you'll find in most processed foods. The problem with those oils is, again, they oxidize very easily because they're not stable at room temperature, unlike butter or coconut oil. And so when they oxidize, they cause inflammation in the body. The other reason we want to minimize or avoid them is because they're very high in omega-6 fats. We need both omega-6 and omega-3 fats, but in the standard American diet or SAD diet, we get way too many omega-6s and not enough omega-3s. So the healthy fats I talked about can help increase your omega-3s, but for most people, there's an imbalance because of our diet and because these unhealthy inflammatory fats I just talked about are added to most processed foods. And so when we have our omega-6 up here and 3s down here, it causes an imbalance, and that in and of itself causes inflammation. So coconut oil, again, is another healthy oil that you can cook with. You can also cook with butter. And what I recommend is, again, that you avoid these inflammatory vegetable and seed oils and use either avocado oil, coconut oil, butter, or the other one is ghee. Ghee is clarified butter, and that also is safe to cook with. And if you have any questions about any of this, feel free to put them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to respond to them. Thanks for watching. And as always, I wish you health and joy. Bye-bye.